Hi, this is CERN. I wanted to give everyone a quick update on how the HexaGrid creator is going. The HexaGrid creator is a program that's both a desktop program and one hosted on Hugging Face Spaces for free, and it allows you to create tabletop maps or invent new games. Things like that, but it uses AI and it uses also a lot of other technologies I've worked on over the years. So this is kind of just an overview of it and where it's at right now. It's not perfect. There's a lot of user interface things that can be improved and all sorts of things that can be made better. But so this is a map that I created with AI. In the AI options, you have different image styles. Okay, so there's a lot of different image styles. You can do cute 3D. You can make microscopic little cities. You can be realistic. You can, seamless textures, different types of scenery. You can load your own LoRa's and things like that here, but you can use it to make logos or make your terrain look kind of logo-y. There's a Disney style. There's different styles to choose from. And then you have map options. The map options are preset. This was I believe this was a border black map that I created. You can do different aspect ratios. This is 1:1. There's a lot of options in here. If you want to modify the map, you can just choose some of these options and run it immediately with the map there, and it'll look at the map and make changes. So if you have an image that you want to change or make one similar, you can do that. And right here's your guidance bar. If you keep this low, then it's going to look more and more like your original image, maybe even exactly like it. And the higher you go up, the more it's going to look like what your map options are. The map options also have something called prompt, where you can put in whatever you want to make. Right? This is an AI system, so there's a lot of options there. So there's a lot of options right here. And then once you have, as a matter of fact, there's one more option. There's something called fill. And it's not like, a person's name. It's FILL. And with it, you can use the little sketch pad here and just kind of fill in different areas, or you can use this as overlays, and you can place this on top of the map. If you want to use fill, you would just keep it separate, and you would learn where the AI would change things on the map. So you can use this. It's kind of like in Photoshop. If you wanted to change somebody's shirt, you go in here and you outline the shirt, and then you would say, I want it to be a blue shirt, or whatever. Now there's also these image filters, and these are really powerful because they can change the way the image looks significantly. And there's a lot of different ones. They're called LUTs. And LUTs, there's a lot of free LUTs on the internet. You can just drop a free LUT right here and change and add whatever special effects you want. These are some of the basic ones that I thought you would like to use. It uses both 3D LUTs and 1D LUTs. So, like, for instance, if you had a grayscale image, you could turn it into a heat map like this. You could go boom, and then a heat map. So you have this little image here to play around with. If you apply it to your actual image, it's going to rename the image to say whatever my image name is, underscore, whatever the special effect is. And as you do it, it'll have the file name get longer and longer, so that you can kind of have an understanding of what you did to that file. Maybe you'll come up with some interesting look that you really want to replicate. So this way you'll be able to keep track of that. Now the most important piece of the puzzle on this HexaGrid creator is making the hexes. So you can fill the hexes with colors. By default they fill with colors. I'm going to turn that off for a second. And I want to show you some of the things you can do there. So I have the hexagon size set pretty high. I'm using column, letter, row coordinates. So I just it creates this grid. If you had colors, the colors would be in here. It overlays it on the image. Okay. You have a lot of different options. Right now it's multiplied, but I could just lay it over as alpha. See this change over. Okay, so this is just a layer on top of this. See how clear that looks? So you can see the other, because there's no colors here. So you can see the map, and this is just the grids are overlaid. You can add margins. So I added margins to the image, and you can kind of see it around the corners there. Okay, and that's good for when you want to print, because sometimes you want to print on a big plot printer and print out a map so you can play your games. So you need to have margins so you can have proper printing. Now this is another really interesting piece of the puzzle here, is you can make 3Ds and height maps. Here's a height map. You generally don't need to do the advanced 3D generation settings, but if you do, just play with the image sampling and the 3D model resolution. The video resolution, 480 is probably good enough. You can go up higher. I might even take away some of these options, but 480 is good enough anyway. You'll see. Okay, here's a height map. Sometimes you need height maps if you're making video games or doing whatever, so it made a height map for it. Here it made some little videos. So here you can get an idea what the 3D model looks like, what the texturing looks like. By using different seeds up here, it's going to come out and look a little bit different. But look at that, it looks wonderful. And you can make different actual 3D models that you can download. So this is a PLY file. It's pretty detailed. You can look around. You can see everything in it. This is basically so you can make terrain and print it out on your 3D printer, or if you had some game you wanted to make assets for, you could do that. Okay. Now there's of course some examples down here that you can use also, but I want to point out a couple important things. So on Hugging Face, you have something called GPU time. Like I have 25 minutes every 24 hours, so every hour I get another minute back or whatever. This system is made to minimize the amount of GPU time you use. So you only use GPU time when you're generating an AI image and when you're generating a 3D model down here. That's the only time you're using the GPUs. But creating 3D models is something a lot of you probably are going to do just because it's cool, but you don't really need to do it. Maybe you're going to just make your games, and up here with the hexes, you'll be able to do most of that. So this Hugging Face site is likely completely fine for you to do all your work on. It cost me like maybe $9 a month to have 25 minutes a day, which is way more than I need. As you can see, I'm developing this system, so I've been running it all day long, and I've only used 5 of my minutes. It does use a couple of minutes to generate maps, and the bigger the map you use, the more minutes you're going to use. The alternative is there's a desktop version of this but you need a powerful GPU like a 4090 NVIDIA or something pretty powerful. It's smart enough to only load what you need at the moment, but some of the AI models, you know, we have a lot of choices here, particularly like the Phil model here. That is a big model, so you need a powerful computer like a server would have, like I'm using up here on the Hugging Face. So that is an overview of where we're at right now. I don't want to forget to mention that you also have template maps you can start from. So you can choose to just use these, but you can also choose to modify them. Like here's a city. I'll replace the image here. Oop. See if it'll replace it for me. There we go. I'll run it through a couple filters. The whites stand out a little bit more. Takes a second for it to kick in. This was generated using the AI. Contrast. Okay, so I can use these models just replace the model I'm using. I can also generate new terrain based on these just by selecting it and then saying generate AI image from template. So these are your templates. All of these things are, you know, pretty nice to have, and you'll notice some of these already have hexes and stuff. But when you run it through the AI template generator, it's just looking for you know, what the patterns are and what it could look like. Like this could look like, I have them labeled like gray barren alien world, things like that. So these are all pre-made for you to use, and combine with your styles, right? So like this one already has like borders on it. Some of these are black and white, so you might be able to, for instance, grab this one that's black and white and go out to the internet and get some heat map models, right? Like watch, like this is a heat map model or heat map special effect, so it should look like a heat map. Applies. Boom. So there's a lot of things to do. I'll see you soon.